Can you talk a little bit about terrorism designations in general, whether there are FTO designations or state-sponsored designations? And are you willing to say what a lot of people say privately, which is that you know, it's just a bit of show? And in terms of the two cases that we're looking at right now, the IRGC and Russia, that in fact most, if not all, of what could be done if these designations were, one, kept or added, would be exactly the same as what this administration and previous administrations have already been doing.
Well, I think your point is well taken, that there are various authorities we can use when it comes to the IRGC. To take that one example, it is an entity that is among the most heavily sanctioned entities on the face of the planet. In addition to the FTO, there are a number of other authorities that are used to constrain and constrict its activities and those of its leadership and its proxies as well. I used this data point the other day. But of the 107 sanctions the Biden administration has imposed on Iran, 86 of those, some 3/4, have been applied against the IRGC or its proxies. So the fact is that we do have a number of tools, but whether it's the SST, whether it's the FTO designation, both of these things are defined by statute.
Understood. But I mean, isn't the administration a little bit frustrated that people seem to be making political points out of this, out of both of these things?
Matt, we're cognizant of the town we live in.
And
we're closely examining the facts and the law with all of these things. That applies equally to the state sponsor of terrorism designation as it does to the FTO.
For people who have been around for a long time, including those in this building, in the legal advisor's office, and others, do you think either of these decisions, if they go the way that the critics suspect they will make any difference at all?
I don't know what the critics, what they expect. What I do know is that we are going to follow the law. We're going to do what's in our national security interest when it comes to every authority under the sun, and whether the target of those authorities is Iran, Russia, any other state actor or non-state actor. But since you have raised Congress, I will walk through this open door and point out the fact that our assistance to Ukraine has been, just as we promised, massive. We have provided $4.5 billion worth of security assistance to Ukraine since the start of this administration, some $3.8 billion worth of security assistance since the invasion began. These are supplies, weapons, that precisely what Ukraine needs to defend itself. We started doing this well in advance of the Russian invasion. We started doing it last summer. We did it again in December in advance of the invasion. And of course, we have announced multiple drawdowns during the course of this invasion. We are now at our 9th presidential drawdown. The fact, however, is that right now, our coffers in terms of drawdown funding, they're dwindling. And after providing $3.8 billion worth of security assistance since the start of the invasion, we now have less than $100 million left, and we will exhaust those funds within the next week. And so Secretary Blinken, together with Secretary Austin, they have conveyed a very simple message to congressional leadership. The message is, we need your help. We need Congress's help to see to it that the strategy that President Biden pledged before Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the strategy we have pursued in the midst of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and the strategy that has proved effective in helping our Ukrainian partners be effective at defending their country. That is a strategy that requires funding, and a strategy for which funding will be exhausted in key ways as of next week. We view the request that is before Congress now, the supplemental budget request, as vital in terms of what these funds will enable us to do, as well as the message they would send in terms of bipartisan support, in terms of the executive branch, the Hill, Americans of all stripes, for the people of Ukraine who are waging this fight to preserve their freedom, to preserve their democracy, and to preserve their country. This additional assistance we've requested, the brunt of our supplemental emergency request was in fact for security assistance, precisely what our Ukrainian partners need to defend themselves. That includes artillery, armored vehicles, advanced air defense systems, all for Ukraine. This funding will also go beyond the security realm. It will help Ukraine keep schools open. It will help replenish this and stockpile in support of US troops on NATO territory. It will help our Ukrainian partners and also our NATO allies do precisely what we feel it is imperative that they be positioned to do at this moment. Nazir.
I don't remember asking about the assistance, but thank you for the 4-minute exposition.
But before you arrived, and I will point out that you arrived late for the cameras.
I did.
I said there would be no topper, so I wanted to make up for that.
Fair enough.
Yes, Nazira.
Thank you, Mr. Price. First of all, thank you very much for yesterday's